Focus. Ideate. Innovate. Enable. KPMG presents The Blueprint. Business in the New Normal.
Hello and welcome to KPMG presents The Blueprint. Business in the New Normal. I'm your host, Gautam Srinivasan, and today I will engage in a conversation with a panel of leaders on the theme of fiscal policies of the government as an enabler to the Make in India initiative and, of course, the way forward. A lineup of speakers, they hail from many sectors. From the defense ecosystem, we have Bill Blair, Vice President and Chief Executive at Lockheed Martin India Private Limited. From the solar energy space, we have Ganesh Chaudhary with us. He's the Vice Chairman and Managing Director at Vikram Solar. Electronics is being represented by Josh Folger, Managing Director of Bharat FIH Limited, which is a Foxconn Technology Group company. And of course, for the broad strokes, we have with us Gaurav Mendirata, Partner and Head of Corporate and International Tax at KPMG in India. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us in this talk. I want to start with setting the context of various incentives and initiatives at play to drive manufacturing in India and the effect they are having. So, in terms of the evolution, in 3 decades since liberalization in 1991, India has gone through a massive transformation with the goal now becoming a global manufacturing hub. If that projection to become the third largest economy in the world by 2029 is to be met. Now, to that effect, the production-linked incentive schemes for 15 sectors amounting to $26 billion to make India Atmanirbhar or self-reliant, that takes center stage in driving up India's production capability. So I want to understand from the panel first as to why are these and other incentives critical for sectors? So Gaurav, let's start with you for the broad context. What's your review of central and state incentives on offer, along with import or trade-related policies, and of course, tax structuring when it comes to creating an encouraging environment for manufacturing in India?
So thanks, Gautam, for setting the context. Fiscal incentives for manufacturing are not something which are new. But since 2014, Make in India has been a pillar for India's progress going forward. Last few years, what we've seen is a thrust and an all-round attack on the fiscal policy. So the first one is the lower corporate tax rate. So 15% corporate tax rate, which is one of the best in the world, has been offered for companies who want to get into manufacturing and start commercial production by 2024. Now, whether 2024 is the right date and needs to be extended is another question, but I think that's a very, very positive move by the government. The other central government initiative, which is the most popular and I think which is really attracting a lot of investments, is the whole PLI scheme. 1.98 lakh crores of investment there being made by the government in 13 sectors, and one more sector being added, 75,000 crores in terms of semiconductor, and fab manufacturing. So from a center perspective, that's a big stake that they've taken. But from a state's perspective, also a lot of states are vying for investments. And in this regard, a lot of incentives have been offered by the states to promote Make in India, and whether it's the capital subsidy in terms of the investments being made in plant and machinery and otherwise, whether it's the electricity duty remission, whether it's the stamp duty remission. These are a lot of benefits which today a manufacturer, whether it's an Indian manufacturer or a foreign investor, could potentially look at while they invest in India.
Let's focus on electronics first, Josh. When we look at electronics, where India is gunning for a key role in the global value chain to cater to both global and local demand, there's lots of action happening. You yourself have a large manufacturing unit in Tamil Nadu. So made in India smartphones, for example, they have seen a significant uptick in numbers. You are the country's largest electronics manufacturing services provider. Plus, you are diversifying your portfolio from handset manufacturing and assembly to mechanics, electric vehicles, TVs, and hearables. So tell us how fiscal incentives are going to drive this electronics ecosystem forward.
India, number one, offers exceptional operational excellence. And I think this is very important. While the incentives are important, global value chains, manufacturers like us, we look at operational excellence and the ability to sort of deliver on this 24/7. And I think operational excellence is very key, and India really excels in that. We have the skill and the talent. I believe the PLI scheme is a great start. I think it was conceived at the right time, with the government putting its entire effort, and it's a very well-intentioned effort. The first disbursements have started, and really it is an incredible start. But I have to say that the face manufacturing program, which the government started under the Make in India program, for mobile phones, followed by EVs, with hearables, I think it's also been a great starter. And the face manufacturing program has brought in a lot of manufacturing, and I think that has really come very much in handy. We think that this combination of a face manufacturing program and PLI will be a fantastic combo, for us to reach out, to markets in India and beyond. And lastly, I want to say that there are things which Gaurav does more than engineers like me, is FTAs. I think having strategic FTAs with sort of good partners, especially with good importing countries, is going to be very key.
Let's see what's happening in the solar space. Ganesh, let me come to you for that, because Vikram Solar's growth is in sync with the remarkably fast evolution of the Indian solar ecosystem, which now boasts of, I think, around 62 gigawatts of installed solar capacity overall. So today you are a leading player in that ecosystem, and considering India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has pledged that by 2030 India will produce more energy through solar and other renewables, what's your view on incentives enabling this goal to be met for the solar sector?
Gautam, firstly, thank you for this opportunity. I think India has taken leaps and bounds of progress with respect to renewables. In the our goal of 40% reduction in greenhouse emissions, we have achieved in before 9 years. India has now set a phenomenal target of 500 gigawatts of renewables by 2030. We are already the top 3 solar developers in the world. All of these go out to say that India has huge ambition with respect to renewables is concerned, and it's ready to disrupt the current status quo with respect to the energy mix. And I think this is going to be a big game changer, not just for manufacturers like Vikram Solar, but also many new entrants that are looking at entering this space, whether you call it green hydrogen, energy storage, or biofuels and hydro and other forms of renewable energy.
All right, we've received a sort of flyby from the electronics and solar space. Our next wave point is the defense sector. And Will, you've been patient with us. Thank you so much. Let me come to you. In the 30 plus years that Lockheed Martin has been present in India, and considering your long associations already with the likes of Tata Advanced System, which forms a key part of your global supply chain, what's your view on India's push to become a key part of the defense value chain, and the role that you see these incentives playing in driving Make in India forward for the defense sector domestically and internationally?
Well, I think India has come a tremendously long way in terms of being self-reliant and in evolving the Make in India initiative. We have been partnered with Tata for over 12 years now, with 2 joint ventures, Tata Aerospace, Tata Lockheed Martin Aerospace, as well as Tata Lockheed Martin and Sikorsky, Tata Sikorsky. And in that period of time, we've seen a rapid growth of the aerospace and defense ecosystem that feeds into that at both the large company level, but also the medium, small, and micro enterprises, and even the startups now. And so I think that when you look at the level of indigenous content that we've evolved at a subset level, I think there's been great progress. I think the challenge we face now going forward is how do we do that at a full platform level? And I think that's where the upcoming opportunities the investments, the other panelists spoke to production-linked incentives. In defense, we don't have a PLI scheme necessarily, but we do have significant investment from the Ministry of Defense and the Ministry of Finance, and we're looking ahead to those very large requirements, the multi-role fighter aircraft requirement that's upcoming. That's going to be a catalyst for the investments that will be made both in the public and private sector entities in India, but also a role for the foreign OEMs such as Lockheed Martin to bring our transfer of technology. And then I will say, if you look at over the last 5 years, there's been a tremendous increase in defense exports, and that is a positive I think, outcome both financially as well as for the technical capability and capacity in the aerospace and defense ecosystem.
All right, Gaurav, let me get you to respond to that, because there is the prospect of increase in exports when it comes to defense. Plus, there is the prospect of lowering import bills. Your thoughts on this push also coming from the government to improve the defense ecosystem?
The indigenous content requirement is close to 50%. And the challenge with that is that the 50% requirement, I mean, most of the raw materials and even the technology today is not available in country. So if there should be a first priority, then I would say raw material, which is critical to aerospace and defense, that should get a scheme like PLI should come in for those kind of manufacturing in order to, achieve our dream for future manufacturing of platforms in India.
KPMG presents The Blueprint, Business in the New Normal.
Ganesh, let me bring you in. Which initiative, according to you, has proven to be more effective in bolstering India's manufacturing ambitions from a non-fiscal view?
I think as far as non-fiscal, I would talk about both fiscal and non-fiscal. I think the biggest and the boldest would be to stopping the dumping of solar panels coming in from our neighbors. On the 1st of April 2022, India implemented basic custom duty of 40%, which translated into literally all imports of unapproved, non-qualified products coming to a grinding halt. Also, which provided incentive for domestic manufacturers like us to expand, grow, and take this demand head on. Along with this, the PLI acts as a huge impetus for the sector to deploy huge amounts of capital to get into backward integrations of cells and wafers. India is slated to deploy close to $7.2 billion in the next 3 to 4 years to implement this PLI scheme, which the government is slated out to a lot. Apart from that, the approved list of module manufacturers is a huge support for the domestic manufacturers, which is actually non-fiscal, but also ensures that there is no place for unapproved and unqualified goods coming in from overseas to be dumped into India. And the Indian government is ensuring that there is certain quality and product standards being maintained.
Josh, let me bring you in. For example, companies, in one of the interviews, companies are not getting the full financial year under the IT hardware scheme to claim benefits, or incentive structure issues are being flagged, or localization schedule issues are being flagged. So your thoughts on some of the practical challenges which are coming up in your sector, and if so, do you expect to see any course corrections soon, as we mentioned, more manufacturers look to move capacity from China to India?
I think, Gautam, it's we have to, let me set a bit of a context here, before we sort of deep dive in this important point. See, I think first thing is that, this sector is very tech intensive. It is very skill intensive, and from a capital standpoint, it's capex intensive and working capital intensive. And what that means is that it takes a lot of time, putting hardware on the ground, getting people skilled, ramping up. All those things take time. And on the other hand, you have global value chains who have now understood during COVID times the the fragile ness of their supply chains. The supply chains are too long, disconnected, and one issue can really stop them. They're looking to ways to friendshore. They're looking to ways to really build some resilience there, right? But both these things take time, and so is a challenge. We have. This is not new to India. India is, while we say that China has been there in this story for 40 years, India also has a very strong manufacturing heritage, especially in the auto industry. So, and I think we have to build on that heritage, build on what has worked, in the past, and sort of cull out what didn't work.
India's gross expenditure on research and development, gentlemen, is one of the lowest in the world, with just, say, $43 per capita. That translates to 0.7% versus nearly 3% for USA, or almost 5% for South Korea in terms of GDP. And here too, the government in India spends the bulk at 55%. So while there are many policies to promote manufacturing, Bill, let's start with you. What's lacking when it comes to driving R&D forward, especially from India's private sector?
Well, I'll point to maybe a couple of things that builds on the earlier comments. And, in the aerospace and defense sector, with the defense policy and defense acquisition procedure 2020, there are in the defense procurement procedures that preceded it, there are provisions in those policies that encourage foreign OEMs to leverage offsets, for instance, to make investments. And it's not the policy, it's more the implementation, as Gaurav mentioned, being more flexible, more agile, I think, in promoting foreign OEMs to make those investments under their offset obligations under prior procurements, I think really is an external investment that we're missing out on, because too often those projects, it's difficult at a working level to place a valuation on those, and then therefore they're not approved. And then we are looking at high probability projects that will get through the approval process that would meet our offset obligations. So that's one area, I think, where it's relatively not a change in policy, but maybe elevating the implementation when we propose strategic projects that might all involve R&D. From within India, I think, and if I look at other countries in their evolution, and the public-private partnership is proven to be so important. We've seen it productively as people as panelists have spoke to the value of the production-linked incentives. But Gaurav mentioned a really key strategic area to become self-reliant in aerospace and defense, and more broadly, is really in the aerospace and defense materials. We have a tremendous reliance on countries where we've learned, I think, through both COVID and Russia's invasion of Ukraine, that we have to address the resilience of our supply chains. And I think in that sense, a public-private partnership or a collaboration where there's mutual incentives to invest in aerospace and defense materials. It involves both public and private sector companies. It can involve really, how do you get the scale of demand that would require to get the return on that investment to be productive? That'll involve foreign aerospace and defense companies coming together to look at, okay, where can we make investments in collaboration with a commitment from the government of India? And I think that's tremendously important to get on a trajectory that I think we have set very high targets for indigenous content, and it really depends on increased investments, I believe, in the material, aerospace and defense materials, semiconductors, those areas where typically it depends on a reliability of demand and really a collaboration across industries and like-minded countries to truly make a difference.
Josh, what does the electronic sector have to say on that one thing that India needs to do to replicate the Chinese success story in a shorter period of time?
Gautam, thanks for giving me the last word. I think really the one thing is, see, the electronic sector, when you look at examples, the most successful examples is building mega hubs, and I think what India needs to do is look at the support and infrastructure needed to create these mega hubs, maybe 20 of them around the country, not in one particular state, spread around the country, where it makes logistic sense, where it makes where it's appropriate, for the business. In addition to these mega hubs, which will be sort of really a working cluster, which I think we should have women's participation in the workforce. Electronic sector is one of the sectors which is capable of hiring a lot of women. So any kind of support in terms of dormitory accommodations, housing accommodations, those things will be very, very useful to really make this the sort of mega hubs successful. And I think that's in my mind, given India's population, given India's potential, given the opportunity which stands in front of India.
Mega hubs could be the answer. Gaurav, before I sign off, your response to what's been shared by the panel in terms of suggestions for India to take that big leap?
Although sometimes small things matter the most, and I would say while we've climbed up the the ease of doing business ranking, just talking from a tax perspective, the scenario in our litigation is not very good when you compare with other countries. And to give you an example, there is a concept of seeking an advance ruling, which whether it's the global investors or large Indian investors could seek, and those advance rulings are now pending for more than 7 years. Advance rulings. So I guess these smaller things, sometimes when we talk to a lot of companies and groups in India and outside, I think this comes across as the biggest sore point. And I think if these small things could be fixed, everyone knows the potential. Everyone knows, that we've got the right skill sets and everything else in terms of demand as well. So it's all positive. So this will be, to me, the recommendation that I'll make, of course, in addition to what the other esteemed panelists have already said.
Well, we've got a collection of suggestions, which, of course, policymakers can consider from a variety of sectors, and, of course, taking India to the next level when it comes to realizing its manufacturing ambitions. But for now, we have run out of time. With that, it's a wrap here on KPMG Presents The Blueprint, Business in the New Normal, where we have been speaking on the theme of fiscal policies of the government as an enabler to the Make in India initiative, and of course, the way forward. I'd like to thank all the panelists for sharing their thoughts and insights and suggestions on the topic. And of course, thank you to our viewers for tuning in. Till next time, this is your host, Gautam Srinivasan, signing off. Have a great day.
KPMG presents The Blueprint, Business in the New Normal. Focus, ideate, innovate, enable.